Hi, everyone. Yes, we still have COVID, and I think I've had my 14th COVID test on this day. But I wanted to talk a little bit today about we had this book that Bob Anderson had us read, and it's called Welcoming the Stranger. And it talks about justice and compassion and truth. And specifically, I want to talk about the stranger in our backyard. I want to tell you a story that happened to Luther and I in our neighborhood. Lou is a gardener, and so he's always in the backyard uh, cleaning and planting and pruning and taking down and then, of course, feeding and all of that kind of stuff. So he was in the backyard, and our neighbor, who's relatively new, has been there maybe about a year and a half, they became friends. And what is so cute is that when we had to take down a tree from one of our recent storms that we had, this gentleman said, "Hey, Luther, I just want to let you know I can help you take down that tree." And Lou says, "Oh, that would be wonderful." So the two of them took down this tree, and they kind of become friends because he mills in his yard, and and Lou mills about in our backyard. And there's no fence. So one day, the gentleman was back there with Luther, and he said, me and my wife, Lou said, "What are you doing this weekend?" He said, "Well, me and my wife, we decided to get a gun and to protect ourselves. And we thought, because of what's going on in the news and people breaking into these gated communities, we just thought we needed some protection." And so he goes, "Well, with that Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, I'm kind of scared." And Lou sits there, he goes, "Well, oh, now we have been friendly." He goes, "You know how it is." And what is so interesting at that moment, you have to understand that this gentleman did not see color at that time. He basically saw my husband as his neighbor. And the people that he was getting the gun for were those people out there, those strangers that might come into your community and might do something to you. And what was really kind of innocent that we realized was that it had nothing to do with our relationship with the backyard because there was no fence. So I just want you to know that when we talk about welcoming the stranger, sometimes we already know each other and we're not strangers the way we think we would be. And so when he said that, Lou is saying to himself, "Well, gosh, we might want to consider the same thing because we're all one people." And so I have my little t-shirt on here today, and let me just take this off for a second. It says one race, and then it says human, and it's got all kind of different colors on it, and it's about us being one, united. And at that juncture, I just thought how innocent the statement was. You could take it negatively, but we did it because they had been friends since the gentleman moved in the backyard, and they had helped us help with our yard. Lou goes over there, and if you need a cutting or clipping or whatever it is, and they share different clippings and different growths and this and that, and there is no fence. And so when we are out in public, and I know we still have to wear these things, and we can't read people as well as we used to be able to read them because we can't see the lips. I always say I miss the lips. But if that's the case, we can still remember that there's more to us. Welcoming the stranger is not necessarily the person in the other country. Sometimes it's just welcoming your neighbor because you might not know your neighbor. In our case, we knew our neighbor in the backyard. We know our neighbors on each side of us. And in my neighborhood, we're relatively close in proximity. So if anything happens, the lady across the street, her husband just passed away. So everybody knew it. even when the transport truck came to take his body, we knew that he wasn't there anymore, even though we got up at 7 in the morning. And these are the kinds of things, is paying attention to the neighbors, to each other, because we do have more in common than we have in discommon. So I just want to say that I know it's very difficult out here at United Presbyterian Church. We had a couple of special needs folks that would come across from away, and they would come and visit. And when we had food and coffee and wonderful cakes that all of you would make, I just want to say that we're going to get back to that one day. But in the meantime, the stranger next door might need some flowers, a card, a pick-me-up. And if they're living alone, we have a gal that lives alone next to us. And every once in a while, I just go and check on her. I hope she doesn't think that I'm being a busybody. But I worry because anything can happen by yourself in the house. And she has a swimming pool, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So, we just knock on the door. Hey, how you doing? So the stranger is really not a stranger. The stranger is really one of us. And as soon as this COVID is over, I know I will feel much more comfortable going out into the world and inviting people in more. And I try to invite as much as I can, but I certainly understand that some of us can't be around other people. So please just remember that the stranger sometimes is not the other that maybe looks different, but the stranger just might be the person next door to you. And guess what? You might see somebody that is close to you, that is your friend, and you really, really don't see the differences anymore, because they do help you to cut down a tree or give a cutting. And pretty soon you don't even see that. All you see is friendship. So United Presbyterian Church, we're all friends. We're all going through this COVID thing together. And may God bless you, and may God keep you, and may God shine upon you.